All right, this is the Chef Infra client triage for March 2nd. It's the only reason I ever know the dates. It's because I'm looking at this stuff. We were just looking at the sustaining backlog board, kind of going over the fact that we have some issues in here. I also tagged a bunch more stuff as being in sustaining backlog. Just looked at things that seemed that were pretty easy in scope, and like a lot of the Windows stuff, really. That was kind of what I was trying to get at. Kind of maybe a bigger to do in our release notes, like a mention of the fact that we just have Windows improvements, shiny stuff for enterprise, right? It won't be like one thing in particular, but it'll be a culmination of 50 small PRs to make Windows better. Yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna go back to the Chef Infra one because it's the same board, really. Take server off of this. There. Yeah. I don't think we have anything actually moved into here at the moment because I have not been moving stuff into there, but I will do that later. What I do have is a giant pile of PRs that are all those miscellaneous cleanups. I don't think there's anything like crazy controversial, so we can just start at the top where it looks like you already approved one. Cool. Oh, I'm glad that this dude is back. He does some good work.
How come? Did you merge that or something?
Merge what?
I can't merge it.
I did now.
Oh, that's weird.
You approved it twice. I think you're getting fired, Lamont. That's clearly what that means.
Yeah, I don't know. GitHub's firing me.
GitHub's like, nah, you're done. All right, so this is 9428. This is just one where I realized that we were constraining a bunch of things based on Chef versions. And this is like crazy old. Oh, if we're on Chef version greater than 13. If we're on Ruby 2, there's no reason for us to do any of that. And then this was a weird one when we changed the shell out behavior, like we had some Chef 15 checks.
Wait, what the hell? That is a Ruby 2.0 constraint.
Yeah.
Does it pass?
Yeah, it all passes now.
Okay, so you just added some extra coverage that we haven't had ever since 2.1 drops.
Yeah. This was stuff I realized when I was looking at all the Windows things, because we had some Windows constraints that are in other PRs here. But I don't think, yeah, like why not? We should just run all the tests. The constraints are cool if you go and clean them up afterwards. This AppVeyor one does not pass, but this is one of the ones that has to get fixed, right? So this was the same thing. We were like constraining a bunch of things on AppVeyor, and they just weren't running anymore because we don't run on AppVeyor. So I need to dig in and figure out what's actually fixing here. I might just throw that actually over to MSys and have them go through that. But that would be a really good one for us to just, I think that is the last bit of AppVeyor in our code base. And we will just be done, and then we'll run all of our tests on Bokai and just call it good. 9426 is some more cleanup of Windows 2008 R2 support. I don't know what I did, like half of it apparently. We had this PowerShell version method that got called by the code that I already removed. We don't need that anymore because that was just to check and see if we were on like a modern PowerShell, and we always are now. And then we had some things where we were looking for registry keys, and this is around like I guess this source registry key didn't exist in 2008. It does now. Doesn't matter. This was similar to the shell one I did. We are super inconsistent about where we put these require relatives and includes. This is part of universal, so we don't need to do this. If we want to do it, we should do it everywhere. But we did it in 4 places. So. And this was another great one. We ran this in a few different places. This is supports MSI. I should probably just put some logs in here and then we can nuke these things later. I doubt anybody's using these but us, but it's, you know, it was public, so it's possible. Yeah, supports MSI was for Windows Nano. We were looking up every single time we did anything, we were looking in the registry to see.
No, otherwise, it's all just true. Yes.
It's always true. Every version of Windows supports MSI from like Windows 2000 on. So that was totally worthless. That should speed up Windows, you know, a little bit. All right, I think that was those. Phil approved a few other ones, so a bunch of other stuff got cleaned up on Friday. If you care, look at the change log.
This AArch64 relay date thing is on hold.
This is not ready. If I remember right, if we go to Buildkite, we can see that. Well, that's a whole other issue. Oh, this is the ad hoc. Yeah. Yeah, it fails in the ad hoc. I think it just, the last time it just sat for like an hour or something. That'll be handy though, because then we will have, you know, modern ARM stuff there. And then we can focus on the other side of it, getting all the Ubuntu stuff in there. This backport, I was a little confused when I was reading it. Phil had a comment about this this should have been a super straightforward backport. I feel like we must have half backported it before. I think he is right. Apparently some of the changes were already on Chef 14 branch. I don't know.
Image 3. And then it looks like we were not installing the latest of 14 in the kitchen house.
I got him to fix that. Yeah, so that was we just had straight failure there because you know, you end up with like a Chef 16 and you're trying to run Chef 14 on top of that, and
I should be breaking the entire time we had 14 out there and 15 was out there.
I think it was close enough that it worked, but now like all the libs are different.
Whoa, everything blew the hell up.
Are we still blowing up? We're blowing up for other things that I did want them to look at, but yeah, we're more green than we were, believe it or not.
Okay. This is an improvement.
This was like solid red the last time I looked at it, and I was like, you should try to fix those kitchen failures. I think this is all we have to do. Let's see what's failing now.
What is that? Oh, SSH key scan.
All right, so I can give him that Travis stuff.
So that's got to get fixed. Just have him delete that line.
Yeah.
What do I wind up doing?
I'll leave a note for that. No, get out of my way. Pull down. All right, leave a note for that because that'll solve that problem.
All right, so now we're basically at stuff which is old.
Yeah. So we can triage issues, because I think we are at that. I'll reach out to him on this one and see if we can dig into why all the other specs are failing. Because I would like to actually have passing specs before we merge that.
The Windows security policy one got updated.
Did that get okay? Cool. This is actually good to have you here. I feel like we're doing this wrong. Like all wrong. So basically what we're trying to accomplish, I don't know why we need PowerShell to do this. Basically what we're trying to accomplish is to write out a policy config file and then run secedit to import it. And we kind of have that pattern in a few other places. So I think we can get item potency by querying out the system state. And if we need to change it, we can write out the policy and then we can just run execute. But we can do that all like out of our cache dir or something. Like writing this to the env temp dir seems like the wrong way to do this. Because it's just an INF file. There's nothing amazing here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing where it's like, I don't know, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this will work, but this does not seem like the right way to do this. So would it, like, step back from the Windows part? If this was a Linux problem, if we had the exact same issue, how would you want the chef part of this to look?
So there is a file on disk that you're updating.
Yeah, but the file doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're just writing a file so that you can run this command that just reads the file.
Okay.
The file could be located anywhere. Once you've loaded it, the file isn't ever used again. On reboot, the file's not read. Like the file is a temp scratch space. This is just because Microsoft has no good interface to security policies on the local system, other than this tool that came with probably NT4. And if you look it up, like, how do I automate this with PowerShell? People will kind of describe this piece of code here. They're like, you can just run secedit through PowerShell.
I mean, from a Unix perspective, I don't like this because you're writing to a temp file with a known name.
If we could query this out and know if we need a converge or not, could we just
well, that's the other thing. It doesn't look idempotent at all. Yeah, it's just running a
probably
file.
not. Yeah.
It's not remotely idempotent. It just fires every single time. So that's a problem.
Yeah, so say we have some idempotency here that we can add. If we know somehow through magic whether we need a converge or not, how would you want to store that temp file? I mean, it has to be a temp file somewhere. Would you want that to be in the chef cache dir, or?
I don't really know.
Like the system temp dir seems like a terrible place to store that to me.
Not necessarily. It just needs to be done securely.
Okay. I guess the other problem of why that seems like a bad idea is that.
But yeah, I mean,
you're assuming the user can write to that directory as well.
Yeah, we usually do chef config file cache path. Yeah, so if there's weird perms problems like
if you're a non-administrative user, which I know, like, realistically, if you're a non-administrative user, none of this works anyways, but
right.
If you're in some weird lockdown environment, like, you're not gonna be able to write to system temp dir.
Right.
You're in government bank environments. At least they did the full path, though.
I don't know. I mean, is it worth it to noodle on it that hard, or could we ship this and fix later?
I'd like to kind of fix it. I mean, we can at least get them to use that temp path correctly.
All right.
I just think we can take all the PowerShell out of this and just do this natively. There's no reason to write a file, run a command. This is a file with content and an execute block.
Yeah.
There's no need for PowerShell for this. That's just making it way more complex. We can do all the idempotency on disk with our own, file primitives and stuff.
This is one of those we need to hire somebody that actually knows Windows.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been unfortunately reading a lot about Windows again.
Whatever.
I feel like I'm sadly becoming that person. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you how you felt about the chef isms of this. I think
Yeah, I mean, I guess
the
so.
Windows isms are like,
So thinking about it, we do use the chef config, the file cache path in resources and internally inside of chef to do things similar to this.
yeah, like the file verify.
So that is probably the correct thing to do because that must be a writable path. So if that shit breaks, then you need to go fix it and point it at the correct thing in your chef config.
Do we actually verify that when we run?
No.
No, something
It
just breaks.
explodes. Yeah, it just will explode.
I can't write this random directory. Okay. I'll leave some feedback on this and see if I can think of a better way to do this. But it's probably going to be, this is probably going to be kind of an awful resource under the hood. It'll work. It just won't be that great. All right. The Windows cert one, and you get back to that, dude. Seems Catalina guy has still not gotten back to us. Nope.
Yeah, no, because you can sort by you can sort pull requests now.
Oh yeah, you can sort them by the updates, right?
Recently updated, and so you look at recently updated and
Okay.
on hold there's rule 8, and then it starts getting
Yep.
down there.
I rebased this one a little bit, but there's some stuff that has to get cleaned up. Okay. There's some chef style warnings now that are legit. Yeah. This chocolatey one just needs to get closed. All right, so that's chef. We can look at issues.
DCO.
Yeah, I added a few things here. Like this was another place where I found that we were doing a bunch of like old school verification. We were like looking to see in the link resource if links are supported. They are on every version of Windows now, so we don't need to do that check. That's just a waste of time. Triage that one already. This is a kind of a shitty one. We're gonna have to clean this all up. I started working on it, but the docs for the resources are all generated with YAML now. So I wrote a rig task back in the day that generated the RST files with herb, and now it needs to generate YAML, which is actually harder, believe it or not. So until that is done, we can't do all the generation of docs stuff. We can't update anything unless we do it by hand, which sucks. I also realized that the chef resource inspector does not expose the equal to values. So I'm going to try to add that, because that was what started this whole thing, is that if you have a resource that accepts, you know, a constrained list of strings or symbols or something, there's no way that we expose that data. So it's not in any of the doc pages, which is super shitty if you want to know how to actually use a resource. Yeah.
What the hell? Knife sudo password doesn't prompt for a password and doesn't.
This is a train bug. There's a linked issue on that. This is where I'm really looking forward to us having like proper integration testing, because we made changes in train that just exploded the world. Yeah. So there's this linked.
That's like a regression.
Oh, it's a super regression. Yeah, that should get.
Yeah, I don't know that train has any of that stuff in there that we do for setting the pseudo password prompt, so we detect if we're being prompted for it. So even if that fixes it, I don't know that that's going to fix Knife's ability to.
Yeah, I think it has to get fixed on both sides. Like that same train, there was a train PR back in, I don't know, about a month and a half ago at this point, that like refactored some of the sudo code.
Yep.
and it just destroyed everything.
Yeah, it broke the automate cluster.
That broke kitchen inspec. I pinned train in workstation. So train in workstation is the old one because that bug wasn't fixed. They made a PR to it that fixed some of it, but it was still like broken on FreeBSD and on like random other platforms. So I was like, this is not fixed. You guys like partially fixed a regression, not all the way. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff where like train is the most important thing we have now. We have no way to test it. Like we don't test what consumes it. So you just gotta like cross your fingers and click merge, you know, which is not where it should be. Yeah, I think the other ones are all triage, to be honest. Like I said, I created some more Windows things.
So, you know, this is why I don't like the blue things, because I can see one right now that's not untriaged.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I sort of hate our label things because it's hard to spot stuff.
Yeah, colors aren't right. We can change the colors. It's easy.
Right.
Untriage should be like the most terribly horrible color.
Yeah. It should get its own color.
Red.
Like sustaining backlog could also be something else as well, but then you're breaking it up so status is not all the same color, which I think is probably correct.
That's probably fine. Yeah, coloring them by the groups has advantages and also has some disadvantages.
Yes.
Click
on untriaged. We have two pages. We have 32 untriaged issues.
Sweet.
This is only the first one.
Oh yeah, because we have ones from
a
while ago. This is an enhancement.
Like, do we actually work this off of the issue though? Like, we know we want to do this.
I think the theory is that we would, since we sort of have more than 2 people now, despite the fact there's only 2 people in this room. Maybe, yeah. I think at the moment, the important one is sustaining backlog, to be honest, because that's the one where we're really like moving stuff into a queue where someone else will work on it. In theory, in some odd months, when we are a team of 5, sort of, then we actually have to have issues that we create and assign to people. Like between the 2 of us, we can stay off of each other's shit pretty easily, right? Like,
right.
I'm not going to touch attributes. You're probably not going to touch a lot of the resources, except right now.
You kind of know what I'm doing though.
I kind of know what you're doing, but that doesn't scale.
Yeah.
That works for a small level. Yeah, that only works at a low level. So this like kind of issue comes up a little bit. This 9410 one of like, where's our what do we think the definitive proxy setting is?
Huh?
Like if you have a proxy defined in the environment, should we use it?
Yes.
So then this is an issue.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have an HTTP proxy, so one question I have here is there's like 8 different fucking ways of doing proxy variables.
Yep.
So is this just busted with app repository and the user just needs to be told to use HTTP proxy or HTTPS proxy or whatever? Because like this may already work, but it may not work for the proxy variable.
Like where I'm wondering when this person is saying this, like, how do they see the solution? Because on the Yum side,
Well, I think they showed sort of how they see it working, but I'm not sure they're correct. I'm not sure they're using the correct environment variable to begin with, because I don't think there is an env proxy variable, or if it is,
there is an env proxy variable. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, that's the old main one. There's like 5 different variables, but that's one of them.
That's what I'm saying. So, but does it work if you use HTTP proxy? Because you should probably do that, because it's not, you know.
Where I wonder if this is actually the correct solution is like, I assume app is probably pretty similar to Yum in this, but like on the Yum side, you can set it in each repository, but really where you're supposed to set it is your Yum conf. There's a value in there called proxy. You should be setting your system to actually use your proxy.
Right.
Because Yum inherently does not use your proxy unless you tell it to.
Yep.
And I can go look it up, but I bet app does the same way. I bet there's one of those D files that is like what to do with your proxy server. I don't think that like we should be magically assuming that you want to use your proxy server and like injecting it into your config.
Well, I can see this as a sane default behavior. You'd have to have some way of overriding it. You'd have to make sure that you obeyed the proxy if it was in the app config, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's not just like a 5-minute fix here.
Yeah, the problem that you get into is like, so now we are writing code in Chef for this resource to detect the 17 different ways you can set your proxy.
Well, ideally, you don't do it. You don't do that. Ideally, it does the correct thing, right? And so if you just pass the HTTPS proxy variable or something like that, it picks that up as a default itself, but obeys its config files otherwise or something like that. So that's where it's like there is a large like figure out how apt repository works with proxies thing that needs to go here first.
Yeah.
It's not enough information to do anything like, no, do not write a PR off of this information. This is
I don't think that this is enough to say that that's the right way. I definitely know this would not be the right way for Yum, for sure.
Yeah.
I can rate that. I wrote it down to go look that up, but I'm not sure if we have. My gut is that is not right. This one's for you. The 9248 payload too large one that you already chimed in, but there's a response since that.
Oh. Warn and don't fail. That seems vaguely terrible because you failed.
So does automate not take payload over 4 megs?
Yeah, it's a limit in the gRPC protocol.
Oh,
Is there already like a setting for the data collector on that?
So I mean, like,
there's stuff for the audit reports where it detects if you have more than a certain size and will like nicely throw a message back.
Audit reports,
but not for the data collector stuff. I think
the audit reports are dead.
Well, sorry, not the built-in audit report, like the audit cookbook.
Okay. Oh, the audit cookbook. Oh, okay, so all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But data collector, doesn't it have?
Would it be a sane solution here to say that this is a different response that we alert on, and the error message tells you a different way to turn it off?
No, stop. Go into the data collector code.
Not the resource reporter?
What the hell is he doing in the resource reporter? Is this for automate? Resource reporter needs to die. So in the data collector, there's data collector raise on failure. You can just set that to false. Yes, it will do that. So where are we?
What does this behavior look like outside of resource reporter?
Where are we?
Which file do you want to look at, Lamont?
The data collector itself. It's actually just data collector ID. What is this for? To do audit cookbook report handling. 429 response code from automate. From automate. From original automate? Automate 2. Does that make a difference?
This is a lot simpler than a data collector.
Is that for the old reporting?
This is the new data collector that you're looking at. With the
Sorry, yeah, the
So-
file that Sean was linking
Yes,
to.
it's on the old resource reporter. You can see it right there. That's why I was like, what the hell?
That would still show up for people using Hosted Chef.
Yeah, so does that show up for people that are stuck on original Automate 1? Because he's talking about submitting reports to Automate. He's not talking about Hosted Chef. So is that like original Automate 1? And like, was that using the resource reporter?
No, it should use the same data collect. The Automate 2 support for it was they just ported over the same API endpoints from Automate 1. So as far as
Yeah,
I know, they behave the same.
because data collector is actually fairly old at this point, even though it feels like it's new.
It is pretty old.
Zendesk, that was 240185. Let me look at the original Zendesk ticket. I can maybe get some more info there.
We'll start recording. We own Cookstyle now. Not that we didn't before.
Okay, well, following up to that.
That needs to get updated.
So he may have just linked to the wrong the wrong bit of code because I just found the debug log from the error from the client run, and it's throwing the error from the data collector RB.
Okay, yeah, just set the.
It's that then, isn't it?
I just do that. It's already there. And like they need to go fix the documentation someplace. Or I don't know what.
Do we have documentation that tells people like, this is why you might be too large, kind of thing?
There's some no, I don't think we have any specific things written up for customers to look at, other than maybe to say, make sure your templates don't include node objects.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff we've done in terms of turning off plugins. That
Yeah, there's the Ohio stuff.
If you're on an older version of Chef, you're gonna hurt if you get all the password stuff going in there.
Yeah, I think with the later version, with the newest Chef server versions, although I guess they're running Chef 12 as well, so
yeah.
So they need to update. But yeah.
Oh, are they on Chef 12 in that?
Yeah, I just noticed.
So they don't have. Yeah, so they're probably sending all the password data.
Yep.
That's probably
and any session info.
Yep. The solution is called, we fixed this bug already.
Yeah.
A long time ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. All right.
9108.
9108.
Yeah.
Build test for double gems. We do this. Ugh, God, I can't type. Maybe not the best place, but it definitely works. It's caught it a bunch of times. So. All right. This one we definitely still need to do. Just to. Sure. Did you ever get back to MSys on all the snap package stuff?
Yeah, I thought I did.
Because they had that issue. I think we looked at this one.
Yeah.
You did not.
Didn't?
Not since January.
No, I thought I did.
Yeah, he added some stuff to that. Of course, now it doesn't pass, but that would be a good one to get fixed, especially as snap packages become a bigger thing. Do we have like a research needed issue? What all the status is? We don't. We should. We need a status. It's like, we need to figure this out. All right. Any other ones you want to look at here? We're kind of over our time, but
8673.
8673. Sounds loud.
I kind of hate these.
Oh yeah, because all the local mode stuff.
Yeah. I mean, my inclination though is like, yes, you need to have a fucking home directory.
So what? How do we explode with this?
So
I mean, the solution on our side is really just to explode and tell them to set a home variable.
yeah, or something like that.
Like, that's they should, yeah.
Yeah,
Basic variables, people. Where did we fix that on the?
Home variables is not set when AWS execute user data scripts. Like AWS should fucking do that. Like, I don't know.
Oh, we just set it to the working directory. Oh, so that fixed the crash, but not a.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. Yeah, we're kind of over time.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do about this.
All right. Well, we can look at this stuff next week. See y'all later.